y'all viewers up north, y'all's weather got loose and it's out here cutting up in my backyard. Could y'all please come down and take it back? Hey there folks, it's Barry's Best Honey. I'm Mike and I am not doing bees today. No sirree, too cool today. It was cold this morning here. For us, that's cold. 18 degrees, that's cold down here. But of course down here it will warm up. We're up to 45 right now. So that is nice. Gotta go do a few things today that doesn't really pertain directly to the insect itself. I'm gonna go take care of some tasks that people don't see when they're just starting to get into beekeeping and they're wondering some of the fun things that go on with beekeeping. These are things to me that are not much fun. So gotta go clean up some stuff and break out some beeswax, render some beeswax. Now I'm gonna be doing some things. I'm gonna show you what I do, and remember, as always guys, don't ever want y'all to forget, it's not a how-to video. I'm not out here to make a how-to video. I'm just doing a vlog. It's a how I do video. This is how I do the wax. You guys may do it different. You may do it more efficient. I'm gonna render all that wax from the cutout. Get that done, and I gotta wax some frames. I gotta clean some frames, and I'm gonna do it the way I talked with Dirt Rooster. Talked with him, and he gave me some results that he had with the way he does it. He has a video out from last year to where he just brushes them off and goes with them. I usually pressure wash them and all that stuff and get all the little pieces off of them, and it's so wet and messy and cold sometimes to do it that I'm just looking for a way to save time. He has had great success just knocking the loose wax off and what he can with a tire brush and then waxing back over the top. So, and I saw it in his video, so I questioned him about it, and he said yeah, it works fine. And then he actually showed me pictures of frames they drew right back out. So I'm gonna try that this year. If they're real bad, maybe I'll clean them later, but for the most part, anything I left out, the wax moths went through and cleaned whatever was left. I scraped them, put them in a box, let the wax moths clean the rest off. They do a good job cleaning those things, so got to go do that. So fun stuff, tedious work, tasks that nobody likes to do, but it's part of beekeeping, and I'm going to show you how I do it here in Southeast Louisiana. This is what I start with. This is old wax I scraped from frames. That's from the cutout the other day. And I got that little pot. I got some water in it. And I'll boil it down. So I got that wax out there. And then in my freezer, I got a gigantic trash bag. It goes about from here, full of all the burr comb over the last season and a half. So that's why I always tell people, save your burr comb. I mean, I throw it, you'll see me pitch it sometimes, but for the most part, during the heavy part of the season, when things are rolling, there's a lot of burr comb being generated, I save it. I mean, it's not going to generate a huge cake of wax, but between all of this and the cutout, it'll add to it for sure. And cappings wax, of course, I keep that separate, like I showed you in the candle video. That one, I'll keep that stuff separate and use that for my strictly my candles and stuff. Bees are flying. It's like I say, it's about 45. The bees are out and they're flying. It's sun's shining. In the sun, it's probably a little warmer, so they're out and about. It's a beautiful day. Man, beautiful day. Get this wax melted and rendered, and then we're going to wax some frames. I'm going to show you how I'm going to brush these frames off, and see. We're going to see how that works this year. So as you can see, our water is at a rolling boil. So what I do is I wait for it to get to a boil, then I dump in some wax. A lot of wax, more than really just some. This is nasty old wax. I'm not going to mix it with some of that nice clean stuff I got from that cutout. That bucket that I dumped that was full of that old, it was mostly wax moth garbage, so you know, it was, I actually wasted some burr comb in there. It was terrible. It was mostly slop. Matter of fact, some of it even burned to the bottom. So, it really wasn't any good. It was a waste of a run. Probably got maybe a 1/4 inch across the 5-gallon bucket. But it's wax, and I'll save it, and I'll use it. It's a honeycomb. I'll like I said, I'll get all the few cakes that I make from all this, and I'll put them all together and make one big block. This is a little cleaner, maybe not as bad to string, hopefully. This is from that cutout. That's one of the reasons I do an annual cutout, one a year, just to get wax. Alright, that's going to be about it. That's half a tote. That's what we need. But that first batch was disgusting. It was that bucket I dumped in. Unfortunately, I didn't pay attention. Most of that was wax moth mess. So, when I drained it out, it sat on the bottom. So anyway, the bottom scorched with some of that cocoon stuff when the water came out. Normally I keep that fire lit under it as I pour a few pores off because there's always some water in the bottom. But it was so full I wasn't paying attention. So keep an eye on that and go make myself useful doing something else. Save time. It's all about efficiency, right? So here we are with a hive tool and a tire brush. This is the first time I've done this. This is a recommendation I got from Dirt Rooster. I'll clean these frames, but I'm gonna leave the plastic in the flames, in the frames. Clean some of this off, just the propolis and all. And this is the good dirty work that nobody shows you, but it's got to be done. Now, I've said this in the 2 previous tedious task videos that I've done, because I've done tedious task videos, and like I say, somebody with 100 plus colonies, I do all this. It's not worth their time. They'd rather spend the cash, and I understand that 100%. It's just, time is money. And if this is somebody's living, they got a few hundred, especially, and I know commercial beekeepers, if they do anything even close to this, it's normally with hired help. But a lot of sideliners, they just spend the money, and it'll just be part of their business model. But for me, I've got time, so it's worth it. Well, let's do this. I'm doing this while it's cool because it comes off easy. But see, that's all wax moth stuff coming off. And yeah, they do come out pretty good. I mean, those little bottom of the cocoons are left, but I'm gonna try it this year. I'll monitor it, see what it does. But for the most part, quick scrape, get some of this old wax moth mess off without cutting your hand. You've scraped frames enough to know how sharp a hive tool is. Just gonna clean them up a little bit, take the propolis off. And this is beekeeping at its finest. And this is why the channel started. I wanted people that came to the market and said, I'm getting bees, I love bees, I'm saving the bees. All good reasons, good, happy, good stuff. But don't see sometimes some of the little things that it takes to keep them, or to maintain them, or to try and repurpose your equipment, saving money. Or because look, frames have gone up. I mean, I used to get them on sale at Man Lake for about 89 cents a piece, on sale if you bought 100 unassembled, and now not even close. I mean, prices have gone up, guys, and I can save cash. So yeah, I'm gonna sit out here and do this for the next hour or so. This one's not that bad. Just want to get some of this wax moth mess off. I don't mind all that wax on there, but like that's the wax moth there. Another good time to run across frames that need replacing. But re-wax these foundations, they're good as new. This is one of them frames that didn't quite fit. This one's kind of bowed and bent and broke, so what we may do is ditch this frame. It's got a crack. What's going to happen is they're going to propolize it, it's going to break. That goes in the junk trailer. So we got a foundation. We'll do that in a minute. There you go. I'll be doing this for an hour. I'll come back to y'all with the wax rendering. This is that second batch I put in. The first one was garbage. Like I said, it scorched stuff to the bottom. It was just full of debris. It was wax moth stuff. I should have paid more attention. But anyway, this is all wax. You see the foam? That's the honey that was in big chunks. There's a lot of chunks of honey I put in there. It was just so crystallized and everything when we pulled it out. But it's not quite melted yet, but it's foaming a lot because of the honey. Got it on the lowest fire I can get it on. The bees are all around, but it's getting close to dark again. They should be heading back, but this is the way it's supposed to look. Now I can pour it off. You can see there's the cocoons. That's what it's supposed to look like. I mean, you're going to have that sludge, but man, I had way too much sludge. I knew it was bad going in. So anyway, I'm going to pour this one off. I should get at least an inch of wax in a bucket, if not a little bit more than that. It's usually what I get. That other one might be a 1/4 inch. But again, it'll all go back together. We'll get all the little plates of wax, and it'll all come out to be like a 2 or 3 inch block in the bucket when I'm done. I just do it all in batches and do one final rendering on the last little cakes, and that takes out the rest of the garbage and is good to go. Alright, I'll pour this off in a second. I think it's just about good. It's all cocoons. Get it all over there. Yeah, that's much better. That other stuff was nasty. It's funny how old cut out brood comb and scrape comb you handle so differently than you do wax cappings. It's all used in the end, but of course wax cappings used for candles and lip balm and lotion bars and all that good stuff. Paintings. Sold 40 pounds I think to a lady for painting, wax painting. I don't know exactly what that was about. Some of y'all may know, I don't know. But she painted, like used it for a catalyst for paint on portraits that she painted. Pretty neat. Alrighty, it's time to pour this stuff up. Oh, that's a lot. We'll go dump this and get another pour on it. There's going to be a lot of wax in this one, I think. I hope. A lot more than the other one. Curious bees. Curious, curious. Alright. Yeah, probably about an inch, inch and a half, maybe 2 inches. There was a lot of water in this one. I didn't want to scorch the bottom again. I've never had that happen. That's why there was that first batch was almost all just debris. There was like no wax, and so it just scorched right to the bottom. We'll put this in the barn, let it set overnight. So I'm still scraping and brushing, and here's an example of using the wax moth to my advantage. I scraped these, basically just scraped them and threw them in a box outside, and the wax moths got them. Cleaned the plastic all the way down to nothing. So all I gotta do is brush them off and they'll come clean. I mean, they're going to be wax moths here anyway. I'm not going to be able to prevent them from getting anywhere. So, hey, why not lure them outside, leave them outside, let them eat all this up, and at the same time helps me. Wax moths got to eat too. All right, let's brush it off with the brush real quick. There you go. Worked out pretty good. So there you go. That's what I brushed clean. Scraped some frames, brushed everything off, and I'm going to wax it. Some are dirtier than others. It's the first time I'm trying it like this. I've always pressure washed them, but you know, like this one may not do as good. But I mean, the shape is still there, but it may not do as good. But we'll see. And it's the first year I'm trying this. But like that one's gonna be fine. These honey ones, I didn't have to do hardly anything to. These were cold. The wax moths cleaned it. I brushed them. They're all pretty clean. But hey, it doesn't look like much, but for me, that's money in the bank. Not worth it to big operations, obviously, or big sideliners. Maybe it is, but for me, hobby guy, 30 to 40 colonies, hey, repurpose all that stuff, went through the frames, made sure they were in good shape and good enough to go back again. Hey, we're gonna do it. All right, it's 2 days later. Actually, I didn't end up doing anything the next day as far as waxing frames, but I'm gonna go out here real quick and show you what this wax came out to be that we rendered. All right, so real quickly, let me explain the first batch I ran, that bucket I dumped. What that was, I scraped some frames around the beginning of December, maybe a dozen. Put them in a bucket, let them sit. Normally, not an issue. Because it's normally cold, wax moths don't bother, it's not a big deal. Well, it's been warm all December. Had some things come up, wasn't able to boil it right off the bat. Wax moths set in. So, my fault, not paying attention. I dumped the stuff out. I seen it had wax moths in it. And some webbing, but I didn't pay much mind. It was nasty anyway, threw it in there. As soon as it got to boiling, looked down, went to stir it and realized it was all webbing and garbage. Had a couple gallons of water in the pot and everything. Poured a little bit off in the bucket, enough to get it down to some webbing. Stirred the strainer, dumped it. By that time, it was so much webbing, it had sucked up so much of the water, it scorched the bottom of the pot. I came out here and dumped the rest out, so we got very little wax out of that. But we got some. So that's when I ran the second batch. So I'm gonna have like a real junky piece of wax and another decent size, and I'll show you what we got. This is disgusting, that nastiness. Pour this away from the barn because this stuff stinks. Let me dry. So that first one, we got more than I thought, but we got what? 1/4 inch, not much. I'll take this old nasty sludge off, it just breaks. So take that down. I won't take it all the way down because there's still some wax mixed in this debris. I don't take this first rendering way straight too far down. This still got like a lot of debris line, but you can't really scrape it too deep. So you gotta be careful. I'll go through, clean it up. And it's still something, but that was some nasty stuff. Nasty. This is the better batch. Oh yeah. This is a better batch, you see. That's more like what I'm looking for. So we got the wax, of course. It's pretty clean actually for that first rendering. And then the sludge. I'll scrape all that right off. Nothing new here, people. Nothing different than everybody else does. Everybody does it about the same. I can almost not render this one again. See, I'm actually scraping some wax mixed with debris, so that's why I rendered a second time. Because it was that initial rendering and there was so much honey in it, bubbling, this stuff right here is mixed in really good with wax. The more I scrape it, more wax I'm taking off. A second rendering will basically clean it right back up. So that's why I second render it. Basically, folks, here's what we're left with. Nice little cake. It's got a lot of propolis and some more debris. Plus, it's mixed in with, you know, there's still some honey in that. And when you scrape it, you're getting a lot of wax granules because there was so much honey and all infused in it. So that's why I do a second rendering on it. And then I have these. That was actually good to get out of that. It was about 1/4 inch. I figured it'd be less than that, so not bad. I got another one in the freezer. It's a little bigger than this. And then what I'll do is I'll get probably, I got 2 more runs to make, and I'll get something like this out of the next 2. Plus those little cakes that I got in little pieces and all that. And when it's all done, I'll throw it all right back in one pot with a good couple gallons of water. And we'll do a second boil and throw it all in there. There'll be, what, probably 3 of those big cakes and some more miscellaneous pieces. Make one big cake, render it down, run it through the strainer. It'll be clean, scrape the bottom, we'll be done. And I'll have another big old piece to add to my collection. So if I'm adding back as I'm taking out, we stay in the plus. And I got about 5 excess. So, all right, folks, it is now Wednesday. So we're looking at 3 days since I did all that stuff. But we're gonna get busy throwing some wax on frames. This is no different than anybody else does, guys, as far as just the roller method. I just use a roller. I'm going to show you real quick what I do. This is just how I do it, guys. Remember? It's how I do. It really is. And I say that wholeheartedly for sure, because there's so many different ways to do this. A lot of people use crock pots. They use crock pots to render wax. I don't like a crock pot. It gets asked pretty much when I do the wax videos, why I don't use a crock pot. I don't care for the crock pot, even for small batches of cappings wax. It's too small. It's very messy. As far as for rolling and all that, I guess I could, but I'll show you what I use just because I got it and it's old and used and works great for what I do. So I don't really use the crock pot. Another good method is using a crawfish tank or a boiling pot of some sort, like I boiled wax in out there, and you fill it with water about at least halfway, maybe 2/3 of the way, and then you dump a bunch of wax in, and what you get is a big tank of water with about that much wax floating on top. And you dip your foundations. So as they go in the water, when they come back through that wax, they coat themselves. You tap them, flip them over, do the other end, and pull them out. I know Mr. Ed does it that way. Joey Ross does it that way. There's plenty of videos on that. That does use a ton of wax. Of course, this uses quite a bit, but it's a very efficient way if you got a lot of foundation to do. Of course, it can't be in the frames, and today I'm going to be doing some in-frame waxing, but for foundation, that's a great way. One thing about foundation waxing, you've heard it on so many videos, and I'll go ahead and reiterate what I've heard and what everybody else has said, is, you know, most of this is either Right Cell or Acorn for me, but you need to get good foundation. Get some of the name brands. Get your Acorn, get the Right Cell, HillCo, the Premier, whoever. Get a good one, a name brand one, because what I found is like the Tractor Supply stuff and some other knockoff stuff I dealt with. I took it was real thin, and it was for a person that inherited a hive, and I was helping him get started. And I saw it, and I said, well, look, I'll go ahead and wax this, man. I'm waxing some frames. I'll do it for you. That way it's done. They have no wax on them. They come clean. And so I waxed them good and heavy. We put them in there, and they're real thin. You can almost see through the yellow. It was real thin and flimsy, but it had an imprint. So I said, hey, what's it going to hurt? Put them in the frames, put them in there. Fed them 1-to-1 heavy. Flow hit. Finished with 1-to-1 afterward. You know what? They did not touch those frames. They didn't touch them. They may have stripped the wax off, but I know they didn't draw them. I didn't see that part, but it was bad. So you want to get a good brand. And if you're going to get like the Right Cell, I always used the Right Cell until I found Acorn. Acorn became the double dip people, the ones with double wax. Then they've got the triple heavy wax, which is really good. Then Man Lake followed with the Right Cell, and they made their premium double dip. If you ever get that Man Lake regular stuff, I found that really needs to be waxed too. They say there's wax on it, but it's thin. Now the Acorn, what I found with Acorn, I have not needed to wax the stuff out of the box. Yeah, because I tell you, this is their double. And you can see there's wax residue on it. And you can't tell on the camera, but there is a good amount of wax on that. And I've never had a problem. I've never had to wax their stuff at all. It is so good. And I hear that Premier is the same way. HillCo's a good one too. So, and this is a triple wax. This is actually white. This is a triple wax from Acorn for their honey supers. It smells so good. So there you go. That's my little tidbit of what I've learned and seen over the last few years. So here's what I use. So of course, if you've seen my video of them last time, I use a hot plate, And so this was turned off with wax in it, and it just gets solid. Then I turn it on and it melts right on down. And I kick it up to about 350 to get it going. I use a roller, 4-inch roller. I got a spare just in case, but the sponge one seems to do best for me that I've found. That's how I do it, and I lay it on these 2 sticks. If it's foundation frames, I just lay right onto the cardboard, and of course I got a lot of frames, so I only do a few foundations. Alright, let's get started. Real simple, guys, same as everybody else does it. Nothing different, nothing to see here, nothing to see here, but I'm glad you're watching. Let's do a foundation first. Anyway, I just put a good coat on there like that. It doesn't need to be super thick because it's already thicker than you're going to get from factory. And then I do one side and set it to the side. And that's because they tend to warp a little bit. They got a little warp to them. Now once this new sponge gets good and saturated, I can actually keep from having to dip it every time. And I don't care if I get more than I need. I got enough wax. It's not the end of the world. That's how I do foundations on these little sticks. Obviously, your deeps are going to take more than the mediums, but the mediums take a couple less rolls, and it's real quick. These take a little longer. Alright, frame same way, but you just got to run the brush up against the frame ledge, and that's it. So I'll do these. I don't do my sticks now anymore. I'll use them for my honey foundations, but those are quick and easy. A little bug just jumped in there. Oops. And you know, it's like anything, once you get in a rhythm. This is the one I said may not do as well. It's just got a lot of, I don't know, it's not as clean. But who knows? I'm going to see. And you know, the bees might very well clean that out. I don't know. Get a little more precise as I practice. So there you go, folks. That's it. That's what I do. I'm going to sit here and do a bunch of these. Yep, I'm going to sit here and do a bunch of these and get these chores done. Beekeeping chores, it got to be done. Alright, folks, that's it. That's what I'm going to do this evening. Probably another 30-40 minutes and I'll have them all done. One thing I have noticed is you got to be careful with this brood wax is after I wax stuff, wax moths can get in them when it gets hot again. So I try to use these first and get them in the boxes so the bees can begin working them as soon as spring starts. So anyway, gonna get all this done, and that'll take care of that stack there. That stack take care of all my old frames and dead outs. If there are any more dead outs at the end of winter, well, I'll have to take care of those, but that's what I stack up through the year right there. Clean them off, cull, and get them waxed. So guys, I hope this was a enjoyable video because it is tedious stuff that we do during the off season, and you know, it's all part of beekeeping. It really is. And it's just my way of doing things. Just want to show y'all how. That's why it's not saying at the very beginning of how to render wax and wax frames. It's how I do it here in Southeast Louisiana. And there are many other ways to do it. And I've seen a lot of different ways, and people come up with different ideas and things, and everybody has to find what works for them, and I have found what works for me. So I appreciate y'all watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope it wasn't too long. And if you did, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up if you don't mind. All the standard YouTube stuff we say about subscribing if you haven't already. And don't forget to share this video with friends, family, anybody that just enjoys watching bees. Hey guys, I really, really appreciate y'all watching. Y'all have a wonderful, wonderful evening. May the Lord God bless you. We'll see y'all later.